Welcome to 111 Ways to Heal. I am so excited. This is a completely new format. And before I tell you what is happening and why it's called Healing Circle, I want to tell you a story. When I was writing some outline of like what I want to be doing with my podcast, I wrote I want to do interviews, and that was a primary reason why I wanted to do this. And I have already put out a couple of interviews, and I hope you have heard them all. Please go ahead and have a listen. I also wanted to obviously share a bit of my takes on life, my takes on topics. So I knew I also wanted to uncover some topics in short, snappy episodes, and there are some on my channel as well already, so give them a listen. But another third component to my podcast, I wrote down it was meant to be a healing circle, and that was inspired by the fact that every time I am in the room with gorgeous ladies, like femme, amazing fairies, I always feel so healed after the conversations. And I always like, okay, I've got to find people who will be comfortable enough to actually do this on the podcast with me, because I find it so healing. I find conversations like this, when people post their conversations or episodes, so healing for myself. So that was one thing that I kept looking at, like healing circle on my Notion as one of the components of this episode, like of the episodes I want to be doing on my podcast. And I've just been thinking, like, who am I going to be inviting while I'm living in a different state away from all of my friends? And one day, moment when I did not expect, not just to, like, I did not expect anything. I come across most magical women in my life, and not only just, see them from distance and admire them, but be able to just have most deep conversations like as soon as we met. And the first literally first conversation we had that was like quite deep, the first things that came out of my like face was like, I want to do a podcast with all of you. And they have agreed. So without further ado, we have our first healing circle, and I hope you enjoy this podcast. A couple of housekeeping things. This podcast is recorded in the middle of a gorgeous place. It's like a van style, and we have like severe wind outside. So if you hear anything interrupting, please ignore. I hope you just enjoy the vibes that we are putting out. The girls are here with me in the space. Is Catherine, Alex, and Tash, and they will introduce themselves in a second. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Please listen, please engage and comment. I want to introduce our first guest, Catherine.
Hi everyone, thank you for listening in. I'm really excited to be here today. This is my van with all the girls in. This is where I see my clients. So I'm a Reiki practitioner and clairvoyant, and I help people find their inner fire. And essentially what that means is when we come into a space of feeling lost or feeling like we don't know the step forward, our inner fire is reduced. And what I do with coaching and with Reiki, with energy healing, is I really help people to find, like I said, find that inner fire again. And I got into this because I guess when I became a mum, I became a little bit lost. And I really loved I love being a mum and I love being a partner. But I guess I kind of lost my essence of who I was as just me. And so I was also dealing with anxiety and depression through my life. And I decided to step into doing my Reiki mastership. So I went through all the levels over the years, and I started in 2017. I just absolutely love working with people and helping them to step into a new space and create a new version of themselves that allows them to manifest the most beautiful life. And my clients just see the biggest shifts, and I know that I have seen the biggest shifts in myself, and that's why I do what I do. And I'm really excited to have this space with these beautiful women and continue to share our journeys, and also to create more beautiful content for all of you. And connect with all of you, and really continue this healing circle that we've created. and lots of amazing content to come. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I am an artist and a creative. I have been always a creative my whole life, but I have struggled in continuing in that path of pursuing a creative pursuit. So I was a former animator, but I realized that being an animator wasn't the correct, the right creative outlet for me. So I have been exploring all my creative interests, including dancing, visual art, music, everything. And I found that creative art therapy was the answer to me being able to explore all those and offer space for other people to explore their own creative abilities and offer that as a modality for healing as well. So at the moment, I am studying that, and I cannot wait to hold space for people to be able to offer that as well, for them to explore their own creativity and healing. Really excited to be holding space with these wonderful women as well, and having this healing circle and talk about so many topics that we want to cover. But yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Hi everyone, I'm Tash. I'm an internal family systems psychotherapist. I work one-on-one with clients, I do groups, I also work with couples. So I'm trained in internal family systems, which is a parts work modality, and I help people connect with all the different aspects of themselves, the light, the dark, and everything in between. I'm so passionate about helping people fall in love with themselves, especially the parts of themselves that they feel quite ashamed or afraid to share with other people. And probably the most joy and light that I get from working with my clients is helping them realize that the parts of them who might seem a little bit problematic and a little bit misguided in, I guess, their behaviors and actions, those are the parts that actually love them the most. So oftentimes, like, our anger is our biggest advocate. I also run workshops and courses. So I'm going to have an upcoming course teaching people how to connect to the different protectors within them. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was such a pleasure.
You will love what we are talking about in this episode. I almost guarantee to every single person, because I really believe that we all go through thoughts around who I am, how can I embrace who I am, and that's what we all are talking about today. And follow everyone on their socials. I'm going to share it in the episode description, and I hope you'll fall in love with these women as much as I have fallen in love with them in the last 2 weeks. The rest of the episode are actually going to be without the video, so we're all comfortable and just comfy talking here in the van, but enjoy our photo together. I feel like all of us are stepping into our power in a way, and it's so funny, like we've met literally in the moments where we either promised ourselves, okay, this is what I'm doing, or something has been leading you to like step into your power, and then randomly being led into just a very random meeting. I know you two know each other, but like also just kind of being led into this meeting with all of us coming together in the point in life where it's very similar for all of us is just super magical. And for me, I feel like the moment of stepping into my power definitely has been a theme of this year, but at the same time that like comes in increments of, okay, this is where I step into my power by doing this one thing in my day. But then once I get that into like my habits, for example, I feel like, okay, cool, I'm also in that like particular thing, for example, like my exercising. And then I feel like, okay, next step into my power is starting my podcast and like doing this. And that's like a huge leap. I was freaking out in June, I was literally freaking out because I was like, this is so scary to step into my power. In sharing like my thoughts, what I'm doing. Last year on Instagram, I thought it was very controversial for me to post a video to say, hey, I'm spiritual. And this year I'm like having a podcast about all spirituality, talking about different experiences and stuff. So it's like definitely big progress in terms of publicly like stepping into what I believe I am and who I am and what I want to talk about and share with the world and connect to. And I feel like in this particular moment, stepping into my power is almost embodying everything together. Like my fit self, my like healthy self, right, with like exercises, but my creative self with like sharing what I want to talk about, like sharing and almost like in a way like getting people interested in this and participating, which I'm really grateful that you all like really supported this idea as well. And stepping into my power also for me at the moment feels like I am betting on myself. Like this is a big trust fall on myself, right? Because like with trusting someone, you can like or either know them really well and you like know their patterns, so like, okay, I trust this person in my life, they are very grounded and everything. With trusting yourself, it's like, oh, I know that I can slack, or I know I can forget about myself and actually put someone else's feelings first and stuff like that. So when it comes to me trusting myself now, I really am finding a lot of like doubts around, can I actually trust myself? Like, is there a track record of me actually fulfilling everything I've told myself I want to do? And if not, how can I rebuild that trust and also start taking bigger leaps in following my passions, following my dreams? And it's that sort of moment at the moment for me. And I am actually so grateful to see that people are on a similar journey, but different, right? We all have different stories, but we all almost at that point of like what stepping into your power means to you, how does it look like, and what sort of led you to feel like, okay, it's not working out for me now, it's not either comfortable enough or it's not just making me happy, so I want to take a different step to a different direction. And that direction is not numbing out or forgetting about myself, it's more of opposite and going directly inside and like following your passion. So in saying that, does anyone want to go first and share what stepping into power means to you? Yeah,
okay. Tash, when you were sharing, what really came up for me was this allowing myself to be fully seen. Like when I step into my power, I know that I can be vulnerable and I know that I can be authentic and I know that who I am is enough. And I think when I'm not in my power, when I'm not allowing myself to be seen, is when I'm hiding who I am. And then to allow yourself to be seen is to know yourself, to love yourself, to trust that you are enough. You are just as you are. My worth isn't contingent on how other people respond to me. And I can't remember what podcast it was on, but I was listening to something and they were sharing, like, are you living your life from the outside in or are you living your life from the inside out? You know, like when we're in our power, when we know our divinity, when we trust who we are, we truly are living from that sense of like, I am here, this is my core, this is my essence, and I'm living from the inside out. And it's still a dance, right? Like we interact with our environment and we interact with the universe, but still knowing that our anchor is inside of us. Our anchor is our soul. And so that's kind of what plays on my mind now. Like, how am I living? Am I living from the inside? Am I living from my essence? Am I allowing myself to be seen, to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to be who I am? Yeah. And then trusting the universe. Like I feel like when I've kind of moved out of my power is when I've forgotten about the magic of the world and I'm not connected to the incredible miracle that is life. And I doubt things. And I definitely was going down that path, I think, over the past few months. And like when I met you guys, we met in the forest. I refer to you guys as my forest friends.
Love it. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to record a podcast with my forest friends.
Not high at all.
Everyone's like, this girl is nuts. Whoa. I'm like, I swear they're real. They are in form. They have physical form. But like when I met you guys and you, Alex, I'm pointing to Alex right now, my hand's out to her. You've really created this like catalyst of healing in terms of healing sisterhood wounds. Yeah, it's been really beautiful connecting with you. Like we're, pretty fresh friends, and I feel like in terms of like the depth of our relationship and like the wholesome things that we do together, which like now, we're all doing together, is just really beautiful.
Yeah, I can resonate. I
Yeah.
feel what you feel. So,
Yeah. Like what, a few months or something into our friendship, we're both sitting in your place doing tarot cards, crying over like boys that have broken our hearts and are like, we're in our power.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But like it's nice to express authentically, and I think we can be both quite self-reflective and self-understanding, and then to truly share like your entire essence with someone and to have them witness you and not judge you, and I'm not saying that like when people judge you they're bad. It's when we make judgments, it's for our own safety and our own ego getting in the way, but to truly be like, hey, like this is me in my full authenticity. These are like the things that I'm really not proud of. And then to have someone like witness you and be like, oh, I get it. Like I still see you and I still think you're amazing. I think that's really special.
Yeah, I am really grateful as well. And I feel like this year it really did kind of called me into putting into action what I've been, I guess, trying to learn, or like the realizations that I've gone through. So a lot of my, I guess, learning and growth was spent in almost kind of isolation last year. And then this year was more of like the practical test for me. More of like, okay, you think you've learned enough, you think you're ready, here's some real life experiences for you to go through. And then it kind of just showed me, I guess, how much I've also grown myself. And like a lot of that had to do with, I guess, knowing what it really is to love myself, and just knowing who I am, or like discovering who I really am, and not in terms of like just the surface level of like who I am, as in like, who are you, like what's your nationality, or what do you do for a living, kind of thing. But it's like, really, who am I in my own terms, and not what other society, like what society tells you who you are, or like, so that's still an ongoing journey. But I guess meeting you guys was also one of those things that had really shown me stepping into my own power. For a long time I thought I had to do it by myself, but I really am realizing the value of community and having people who really support you, and like who just are able to embrace you in all your forms. So like, in your most vulnerable form. So and just the power of like female energy, like having other female energies surround you, I think is so amazing and so powerful. So I think, yeah, like having you guys, like even just having this space with you guys is very, very healing, and very, like, I'm learning so much just by having these conversations with you. And so yeah, it's a continuous journey, and I feel like I don't fully see all the lessons yet for me, but like I feel that I am walking the right path right now.
Oh, when you shared about like community and us like being in power together, something that like huge that's come up for me is this sisterhood wound around like, it's not that when one of us is powerful, the other one is weak. It's like when we're all powerful, we're powerful together.
rising up together. And it's like, your power doesn't take away from my power, and my power doesn't take away from your power. And I think, like, for me, what's been illuminated so greatly and so deeply, literally since I met you girls, is this sisterhood connection, you know, and that we're all here together and we're all connected. We're all here to support each other and lift each other up and hold each other. And I'm just amazed. And I love you guys. But we're not in competition. Like, we're almost conditioned in society as well to like feel like we're in competition with each other as women. You know, like, we need to be the most beautiful, we need to be like the smartest, we need to be the most athletic and have the best booty. Catherine takes that. Wait, Alex is pretty good too. I think you got cute booty too. We all got gorgeous booties, let's be real. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, in society, that like the femme fatale comes in, or like, but it's not like that. Like, we're all here together. We're here to support each other. So that's, yeah, definitely a huge lesson for me that has come up.
Like, adding to that, I've always been in situations where, you know, even in the gym, or like I was saying, you know, at school, I went to an all-girls school, and there is that competition. And then when the masculine comes in, it's like the competition for the masculine. And there's so many women that look at other women and be like, almost try and shove them down out of the way as they go past. And it's like, okay, we're not competing against each other. Like, we're here to support each other. And, you know, back in tribal days, it would have been like red tents, and where the women go and the women folk would be together raising the children while the men hunted. Like, we're not supposed to be segregated, and we're not supposed to do this on our own. You know, I've got really close, you know, girlfriends, and, you know, I value each and every one of them. And it is so nice to have women that surround you that just, and this is the rarity, and this is what I'm feeling is, when you were talking about being 100% authentic, being able to show up completely 100% authentically as you and still be loved for it, that's what was missing. So, you know, I have that with, you know, 2 or 3 girlfriends, but now I have you girls as well. And being able to know that, you know, you don't have to put on this facade of being this like put together all the time, like perfect, everything is 100% fantastic, to be loved and accepted by, you know, your close friends, like your inner circle. We said the sisterhood, it's so healing. Yeah. As we said, how we did meet, it is so manifested and magical. I could feel like that we were supposed to connect, and that's why I said to you guys, are you on your way to the Feel Good Yoga? And then, of course, Anna, like when, you know, Elitza came over and said, oh, has anyone got spare space in their car? And, you know, I remember that innate, that automatic feeling of, because we'd already said that we were going to go for lunch. And I remember this feeling coming into me of, oh, I hope she's cool, because we're going to be going for lunch, and we've already kind of like, we'd really clicked. And it was like that, already that fear that, I suppose fear isn't the right word, but that, I want to say like reflex of, in the past, women can be so funny and so like, you know, oh, well, no, I don't know, judgmental or whatever. Like, you know, and then of course when you came over, and then it was just so super cool, and we spent the entire day, you know, exploring Warburton together, all 4 of us, and that wasn't planned at all from the start. I was absolutely buzzing when I came home, and I felt so clear, and I felt so nourished. Stepping into your power is also about accepting the opportunities that come your way. So it could have been quite easy for me to not say to you guys, do you want to go and do lunch together?
You could have sat on the other side.
I could have just gone and sat by myself, and then gone.
Not done the yoga.
Exactly. And I could have, said to Elisa, I'm sorry, no, I just want to drive by myself. Like, you know, there was so many opportunities in there where I could have changed the course of that day. But by sliding doors, yeah. Butterfly effect and all. But like, because of backing myself and being like, feeling the energy of, there was no reservation. There was, I am 100% safe to be seen. I am 100% safe to be myself in this situation and in general. And knowing that when I do that, the most beautiful things come in. And I think that's something that we do forget as well, that when we're in this protective space of, is it still recording?
It's angel number 222. What's 222 mean? Yeah.
It's like divine union.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I've been seeing it a lot. That's just completely thrown me, the 222. You know, we have so many old stories that can be an alert. Like when Elitza came over and said, you have space in your car, and instantly, you know, like a reflex alert goes off, like a safety mechanism. Like you've had an experience before where, you know, like someone isn't trustworthy or someone isn't kind or something, whatever. And so instantly there's like that reflex, because it's that old story of old patterns or old things that have happened. Whereas if you actually sit there and kind of, this feels good for me. Like, I'm safe to be seen. I'm safe to be held. And I'm like, and that's when, yeah, like the most beautiful things come into your life, because if you can trustful, like we said, and if you can know that what you are doing is for your highest good, for your highest vision, you know, I mean, if we hadn't have gone for lunch, this podcast wouldn't be happening. Our group, you know, our chat wouldn't happen. You know, all of that kind of stuff wouldn't be happening.
I'm just analyzing, like, you know, when you were asked if you had space in your car, it's almost kind of like asking, do you have space for other people as well, like into your life?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, are you ready to receive what you were about to receive that day? Right? I don't know, that just came to me as well. But I just wanted to, like, I guess add on to that, where like stepping into your power, like the importance of feeling safe to do so.
Yes.
And I feel like in this moment for us, like, I feel like this was really a blessing, because like I think we were all ready to step into our power. We just needed that safe space to be able to do that and have the support of other women or other people to really bring us to that position. Because I feel like we've all been individually doing the work ourselves, or, you know, like kind of really being conscious about doing that work of like, I need to step into what I've been called to do, you know, or like just being embodying what it is that we're meant to be doing, and like stepping into our truth. And yeah, I feel like I don't know, the timing of it all was just really, really crazy. Cosmic. It's cosmic. Yeah, exactly.
I love, I think I completely agree with you with like safety of even doing this and pursuing something. And because we are very fresh into our friendship, so I am wondering, and you just mentioned we all have been doing that work to feel safe and let people into life. What has everyone been doing to embrace all of this, like to embrace the new connections or yourself? Like, if I can think of myself, like, I don't remember, one of you were just saying during podcast or before that, honestly, all of it is a bit of a blur now, but we talk about this all the time. But it's just that notion of accepting yourself as you are, so then others accept you. But when did that start? Like, when did that start for you in terms of accepting yourself as you are? Because I for sure can say that's not something I've been born with, even though if it's like something I guess my parents would say, but at the same time they would say be yourself and like encourage you, but at the same time make those comments like, oh, you could have done this, or should do that and stuff. So it's like you get a message of accept yourself, but at the same time the world gives you also a different message of like, no, but you have to look a different way. So what's very funny is that like big moment of embracing myself fully was actually the night before meeting you as well, where I was full on. I even recorded my friend a voice message about this. And that's why I think Goddess Kali came into my dream. The night before, because we were meant to swim at the forest as well, I was like, okay, I am full on stepping into myself and I'm not shaving my legs. Like, that's it. Like, I am a woman with hairy legs. I will embrace it forever. Like, I don't care. Right? That's a big step though, like to just accept me. Maybe that would be like, maybe my future husband would be there and I will come out with my like hairy legs. How weird. Like, that's it. You have to accept me, dude. Like, that's it. But it was just that moment of like, I'm standing my ground, like I'm accepting myself, and then having that instant confirmation of just women that I've been definitely manifesting as well to like step into my life, and having that space and even in me to say yes to like lunch, to say yes to something new. And overall journey of like accepting myself from the start has been long, but I'm just curious, like when did that all start for you in terms of accepting yourself in the first place? You wanna go?
Yeah, I can go. Is it this side? Yeah, so good, because like as we're all sharing and talking about this like authenticity and stepping into your power and like being vulnerable, it's like it's so much easier as a concept, but in practice it can be so challenging because we have all of these layers of conditioning and like societal pressures and traumas that tell us like you are not enough, you need to hide yourself. And when we were talking before, something that came to mind was Brene Brown, and she speaks a lot about belonging and what it means to belong. And the opposite of belonging, because she gives opposites for a lot of these concepts, and the opposite of belonging is fitting in and like feeling like you need to mold yourself or change yourself to be able to fit in with people. And it's like, how do you get to that place where you peel back those layers of like, these are my masks and this is what I need to be or do to fit in, to that raw core of like, this is my weird as fuck creature like self, deal with it. And it seems like love me as I am. And it seems like we've all kind of probably like come to this like realization over the past maybe few months where like we are allowing ourselves to be seen in our raw authenticity. And that's what came up on that day that we all hung out. But for me, it's been such a journey. Like it's been like a roller coaster of like thinking I know who I am, trying to figure out my identity, working out who am I. Like since I was a little girl, I've been plagued with this concept of like, who am I? Mom, like looking up at the stars, like what am I? Who am I? Where did I come from? I'm an internal family systems therapist, and I've always felt this like deep shame because I felt like such a contradiction. And I felt like such a mess of a person because I've like loved one thing, hated another, loved one thing one moment and then hated it the next. And I just feel like this huge walking contradiction. And this whole idea of like, well, there are actually many different parts of me. I'm not just this one mono mind. I'm a whole compilation of archetypes and energies, and I do have this core essence and this soul, which is what I love within IFS, but I am like a whole diverse multitude inside of me. And I love that concept, and getting to that point, understanding that I'm allowed to hold multiple different perspectives and feel multiple different things and have, you know, a million different ideas has really helped me. Yeah, I've always felt a little bit perplexed by like who I am. You know, am I good? Am I bad? Am I like, and I think trauma and our brains naturally want to put us into this state of like black or white, you know, 1 and 2. And life is great. Life is like so colorful, and everything is on this spectrum, right? And even the way our bodies work, like one day I might have a little bit more energy depending on the moon cycle. Like maybe I'm a little bit more emotional or watery one day. And I feel like for so long I've tried to understand my identity in terms of like good or bad. And then when you realize like nothing actually is good or bad, it's all really relative, right? You know, your good might be different to my good. My good is definitely different to, you know, what the ant defines as good.
I think as well, it's about accepting ourselves on our not so great days as well. One thing that I really try and share with, I know the people that follow me, and the women that follow me, and like I'm a mum, so I have like mums that follow me as well on Instagram, and so many people have said to me like, oh, you know, you've got it together. And like I said before, like people see you as this like got it together type person, but in reality, yes, that is a side that we all have, and a side that we all, you know, like you're saying, Tash, there's a multitude of like facets and universes inside of us. And there might be people that are listening to this going, I could never share my story, or I could never go this deep, or I could never, you know, I hear that so often, like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you like dive into that or how you share your story. But in reality, before we started, I mean, I even said to you guys, I'm so nervous. And like, I'll be honest, for the first, like, before I started talking, listening to you guys, waiting for my turn, I was like on the edge of a panic attack. Not going to go into one, but like that, because for me, this is like public speaking. Knowing that we can do hard things. And I know that's something that Alitza, you know, from Feel Good Flows, like she's been putting that up this week. We can do hard things. So I think that was just something I wanted to touch on as well, in that we can do hard things, and that's where the growth is. Into how, like, where it started for me. You know, I've had anxiety, OCD, and depression most of my life. But knowing now that anxiety when I was a kid was actually a lot of like my clairvoyancy and being able to tap into other energies that I actually was scared of and didn't realize, and I didn't verbalize that I could sense other energies. And, you know, I'd be brushing my teeth, looking behind me in the bathroom, thinking, who's behind me? Who's behind me? But it was literally just energies. And if I had have known then what it was, I wouldn't have been scared of it. But also, being that good girl, the whole, you know, growing up, being the one that was, the one that, you know, I've got a younger brother, and, you know, he was full of energy and full of beans. And I was always like, the one that would say, you know, be quiet, or not be quiet, but like come with us, or like, you know, be in the shops, and he'd run and hide, and I'd be like, where are you? Come with me, like type thing. As the older sister, I was always looking out for my brother, and I grew up doing the same thing. And of course, then I became a nurse, and so then that was like the epitome of looking after, like I was, you know, Florence Nightingale, you know, personified, because I was like, I'm watching out and making sure that everyone is okay. And I've always been that way growing up. I used to drive into the city and pick up my then boyfriend, you know, from the city, and drive all his mates home, because for me, it was like, I knew they were safe, and I knew they were all okay, and I cared and loved them. So I wanted to know that everyone was okay. But there comes a point in your life where you have to choose you as the priority. And for me, going through, you know, I've got 3 kids, and going through different things with children, and then a marriage breakdown, and different relationship things going on post divorce. It's knowing that if you don't prioritize yourself and your own growth, that you then prioritize everyone else's growth, and you kind of sink in the mud. And you also become exhausted, and you can't rise out of the mud, because the mud is just weighing you down, and it's stuck to you. And what you feel when you're stuck in that space is what's reflected back to you. So we talk about manifesting. If you feel not good enough, if you feel like you're only valuable because you can help everybody else and people can't survive without you, then that is what's going to be reflected back to you, that you aren't valued because you are an amazing human and because you are, enough, and because you are this amazing spirit. Like, yes, some people will see that through the mud, but you won't feel that at all. And so what's going to be reflected back is just this resentment, and I guess then that's when it becomes really challenging to be able to have the strength to step into our own power. The last 7-8 months, or now more 9 months, has been a huge catalyst of growth for me. And without that event happening and me being forced to step into my own power, I really would not be the way I am now, and I wouldn't be the person I am now. I would fall into habits of putting everyone else first and making sure that everyone else was okay. As a Reiki practitioner, that's literally what I do for a living, is making sure that the people that I'm working with feel fantastic, feel empowered, feel special, feel loved. And unless I'm giving that to myself, then I'm no use to anyone as a practitioner or friend, mother, partner, anything. And so for me, being forced to sit in that space and trust in myself to go, okay, I know I've got support and I know I'm loved, but I need to do this for me. Like, I need to step into my power and really do the hard work, because we can get really complacent and just sit there and go, like I said, you get resentful. But also as a mum, and I know I'm the only mum in this situation between the four of us, but it's like something that I can share as a mum that I know other mums will relate to. We lose ourselves when we have kids. Yes, it's a different version of you, and yes, you're so happy and you love your kids. You do lose yourself, that identity that and you have to be reborn, because not only is your baby is born, but you're born again as a new woman. And it takes time for you to find that new woman. It's not just something that you pop out a baby and then you just carry on with your life with this new addition that is cute in a pram.
Like an accessory.
Yeah, exactly. They're not like a little puppy in a handbag. Like, it's, and I know for myself, it was a lot of like, I couldn't feel like, I felt like I had to dress differently. I couldn't be like this sensual being because now I'm a mum. And mums are also viewed differently by society. It's like, why are you wearing that? You're a mum. Why are you doing that? You're a mum. Even like, I know Alex, like you do the dancing heels. And, I've got friends that do that and people will be like, oh my God, but she's a mum. And it's like, who the fuck cares? Yes, she's a mum. That she probably needs it even more. Yeah.
But why should that take away, her connecting to her sensuality and her feminine energy, Like,
exactly. Exactly. And that's what I know for me, like, even it can take away your libido. It can take away, not just because you're exhausted and because you're overtouched and because you're being mum all the time. Like, mum isn't just like a 9 to 5 and then you flick off. Even when you don't have your children, you're like, oh, are they okay? Do they need this? For me, I have 50-50 custody of my kids with my ex-husband, but it's not that I switch off and my phone goes on airplane mode when I don't have my kids. He's on there as the emergency contact. If something happens, he can always get through on my phone. I'm always wondering, are my kids, how are they doing? Not because I don't trust my ex-husband, but because I'm still a mum. And that's why people say, when you go out for dinner with your partner, or like you finally have date night and you sit there and talk about the kids, your parents. And that's a huge part of your identity. And I think that women, we as mums, but as women, we need to be able to tap into that space of that sensuality and sexuality and embracing us as us, because it is so, like, I absolutely pride myself on being, you know, my man's queen, and I absolutely pride myself on being an amazing mum, and you know, but that's part of my identity. That's not my whole identity. And being able to find that space where we can be exactly us. And when I'm working with clients, I'm 100% me. Yes, my clients know my story and they know that I'm a mum and all of the things, but when I'm one-on-one, it's me and my soul and my essence and what I bring to the table. It's not people aren't coming to see me, or people aren't friends with me because of who I'm with or because I'm a mum. And does that make sense? Like, it's, and so for me, like, having that power to really step in and go, you know what, I have to back myself, because what is this, like, another, you know, I'm 37, so what, am I going to wait till I'm 47 when my kids are like 17, you know, how old are they now? No, they'll be 19. 19 and 14, far out. 10 years time. But am I going to wait until then? Or am I going to say, this is my new chapter. This is where I'm stepping into my power. At what point does society deem it appropriate that women step into their power? Like, what, are we just written off after 30? Like, and that really bugs me, is that if we aren't able to step into our sensuality and our sexuality and feel empowered and not have to be this, like, good girl image of this perfect pearl wearing mother.
I love this so much. This is so good. What was coming up for me is that part of this, like, stepping into our power is knowing who the fuck we are. Yeah. Knowing who I am, expressing all of that. You know, maybe I don't want to step into my sensuality. But maybe I do have, like, the mother archetype that exists within me. Maybe I even have some masculine archetypes. Like, maybe I'm a magician, and it's about connecting to each essence inside of us and just being able to express that and not shaming people for who they want to be. Yeah. And I think we have, like, a whole spectrum of characters that exist within us. And when we feel free, when we're in our power, we express it all. And also, like, maybe we go and we have experiences, like, you know, I go to Alex's sexy dancing with her, and that unlocks this little temptress inside of me. And maybe now that's an archetype that I want to start embodying and exhibiting, right? Or like you said, like, when you become a mother, that opens up something new. Yeah. But that's not your entire identity, right? Yeah. So how can we express our complete essence and being, and continually allow and accept the evolution of who we are and who we're becoming and who we've been. I
think it's a continuous journey. Like, it's I don't think we ever get to a point where, like, okay, I fully know who I am. Like, I feel like we constantly evolve and grow. And we always, like, we are never the same person as we were yesterday, you know? Like, we're always, change is constant. And that's us as well, you know? But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, for me, like, stepping into my power was knowing, or like how I started to embrace who I am was knowing who I didn't want to be. Yeah. Because I feel like, from my background at least, like, I grew up in an environment where it's like I've been conditioned to think about what other people would think about what I'm doing. Yeah. And also just, like, in relationships that I've been, I feel like I always end up giving up my own identity and make the relationship my identity. Yeah. And only when those fell apart did I realize, like, crap, who am I? Like,
this fitting in.
This, exactly.
You kind of blend in, like, with them. Merge.
Yeah, exactly. Merge. And then you forget your own identity, because exactly, and I was telling this to Anna on our drive here, like I realized like I tend to give up my own like interest or needs, you know, and just kind of cater to whoever, like whatever the other person wants to do or what they like to do, and then, you know, I just forget to prioritize me sometimes. Yeah, and only when those, you know, relationships fell apart for me do I realize those. And I realized, like, you know, sometimes you need to break to realize, to give space to yourself, you know? And that was what happened to me, I guess, like, you know, just kind of realizing all these things, and then also noticing that I actually don't know who I am, because there's so many external voices, so many things telling me who I should be, and I'm just questioning it. And you know, and only I think when I decided to, I guess, move out from my parents' place did I really begin to like look inwards. And it was painful because I didn't know what I was asking for. I was just like, initially I wanted to move out because I was just like, okay, I'm just clashing so much with, you know, my parents, and I love them, but like, you know, you get to that point where you're just like, I have a different outlook in life and they have a different way of going about things. I just really need to like, you know, move out and do things. Exactly. And actually experience how capable I am of looking after myself and like, you know, all that. And I didn't expect it to be how it was, because it was so hard, like, you know, just coming from a household of I have like 3 other siblings, and back in the Philippines I grew up with my cousins, so we were like one big compound of like, you know, people. There's always people at home, and then all of a sudden just being by myself. I didn't move out straight away on my own, like I had a housemate, but it kind of slowly led to that point where it was just me. No one else was you know, in my home. It was just me and my voices in my head. Voices in my head. I realized one of those voices actually was very like, you know, that negative voice of like the judgmental type. The one that's telling you that you're not good enough, you're like, what are you doing? The one that's telling me off all the time. That was a very loud voice at that time for me as well. And yeah, so I had to sit with that, and it was a really uncomfortable experience, but also I think I needed to go through that, and that helped me grow and kind of realize, okay, like, who am I and who do I want to be? What do I want to do, like, in this lifetime? And that started my whole, that triggered a lot of, like, journeys for me, like, kind of, exploring my own spirituality, and also looking into, like, my ancestral background, and, like, learning more about, like, my heritage, and, like, you know, and kind of, I didn't even know, like, asking the question of who am I would go down that deep, and I'm still in that journey now, but, like, it just opened so many doors for me, and opportunities, and people like you guys, and it's just been, I wouldn't say it all has been, like, wonderful. It definitely has been very challenging, but, like, I feel like just kind of, like, really diving into that, I guess, journey has been very life-changing, and kind of just changed my perspective on how I go about life. So
this is amazing. Thank you. I love you guys. I love you. My heart is so full. And I will add one thing for me as well. Like, I was trying to reflect the whole time, like, listening to you, and I love that we all shared, like, I feel like different things about stepping into who you are, or even like accepting yourself, but at the same time I resonated with every single thing. And in a way, I'm sure we have done all those things in our own way, and listeners as well. For me also, it's that scandalous act that you like finally find courage to do, which is crazy. Like, for me, I look back and think back, like, my first ever that scandalous act where I choose myself was literally taking a day off. Like, how crazy, right? But that changed everything. I know. So scandalous. But it was because I was such a, like, responsible manager who would always do her things right and, like, on time, and choosing myself. But so Capricorn. I know. I say it on every podcast. I'm so Capricorn.
You really are.
I have 5 placements. Okay.
Wow.
So it is a Capricorn.
Are you Capricorn rising?
No, sun. Yeah, but so many other things. I don't remember them. But it is like, and with also reflecting on things, usually you are pushed to it to do this, right? Like it's very rare where you like everything is fine in my life. How can I fuck this up so it changes all rapidly and I lose half of the people from my life? Like you never choose that. You usually are forced to do this, and not from a like wonderful life. It's usually like, for me, I had to take a day off because I had a terrible headache for 4 days. And can you imagine 4 days of going to work with like terrible headache and still not taking the day off? Like how insane it was for me to have that life, to have that mindset, to be like work comes first before my well-being. And then choosing myself for the first time to be a rebel, take a day off, and then go on this journey 4 years later being very different, like completely different. And something also like in terms of choosing yourself, maybe like some time in future I'll share, that was one of the reasons like why I had to leave my ex-husband as well. And it is in my letter to him that I gave of I need to do this and choose myself, because if I don't, I will be regretting this for the rest of my life. And when choosing yourself interferes with whatever you are doing now, but it feels right to choose yourself, I will always support that. But obviously it's not an easy thing to do. It's like very easy thing to support, but you have no idea. I heard this quote of like, you are the choices you make, but people only see the choice that you've made. They don't see all the options you had. And it's so easy to judge when someone makes a choice, but like, did you see all the options, people? Yeah. And oh my gosh, like loved this conversation with you. I am going to be wrapping this up because we are coming to like an hour. We're probably more because we have an introduction, but I would love to do this again. I would love to.
Still have so much
more to share.
So much. If you are resonating with what you're hearing and you would like to share your story or what, like your outlook on stepping into your power, where you're at right now, like please comment, please let us know, email me, all the details are in the description. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and please like and share, spread it, share it with your friends. Yeah. Suggest any topics, ask any questions. I would love to connect, and thank you for like bearing with us through all the wind and sounds and weird bangs, because it's like we are in the nature. We are not a professional studio, and I think I love like that essence of being
authentic. We're being seen
very yeah.
And the universe is chaos. Embrace
Yes.
it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.